Hans Thurber once told the fable of the tiger who escaped from a zoo and made his way back to the jungle. In captivity, he had learned a great deal about humans and how they do things, and he thought he'd apply that to life in the jungle. So he met up with a leopard and talked him into teaming up to bilk all the animals of the village. They'd stage a boxing match for which the price of entry would be a freshly killed boar. And then they would fake the actual boxing match so that neither of them would get hurt. The tiger said to the leopard, "You just go around and say you can't help winning because I'm a big palooka. I'll go around saying I can't help winning because you're a big palooka. And everyone will want to come and see the fight." The leopard agreed, and for the week before the fight, the two of them went around the village, bragging that each would be the winner. Because the other guy is a palooka. Come the night of the fight, the tiger and the lion were dressed for action at the spot, in the middle of the woods, boxing gloves on. And they were very hungry because they hadn't done any hunting for themselves since they expected all the people to bring them boar that night. But no animals showed up. The way I look at it, the fox had said, is this: if the leopard can't help winning and the tiger can't lose, there will be a draw. And a draw is a very dull thing to watch, especially when it's fought by two big palookas. So the animals all saw the logic of that, and they stayed away. When it came to midnight and no one was coming, the two animals set upon each other, and they were so weak and they were so tired that they both died. And a couple of wild boar came along and ate them. Well, the motto that Thurber attached to that story, if you live as humans do, it will be the end of you, which is not a bad motto. But I would add to that, that match was a farce the animals could recognize. When it comes to ours, if only humans were as wise. Of course you know what I'm talking about. A recent match fought between two palookas. Only in this case, some of the people did actually go out and watch the fight, despite the fact that they had been told for the previous year that the other guy was a big palooka. Lots of money spent on proving that the other guy was a big palooka. And they proved, in fact, that week after week that they were big palookas. Well, Thurber has another story with the moral: you can fool too many of the people too much of the time. Alas. You know, they say that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, even if it doesn't work. What are you going to say about this system? A system that spends, in this last year, $2.5 billion in a campaign that takes 2 years every 4 years to produce two palookas to run for high office. In this case, we managed to get 4 palookas for high office. What can you say about a system that allows that money from corporate and financial America is what funds this campaign for our president, and which beholdens any president or even any campaigner to those interests? What can you say? What can you say about a system that openly, blatantly proves that its politicians are craven lackeys of the financial plutocracy by having an administration that could invent and a Congress that could enact a measure that robs the public treasury of at least $1 trillion? Blatantly, openly. All for the benefit of financiers and bankers who created the mess to begin with. $1 trillion. You don't have any idea what that means. Let me give you some help. Think about 1 trillion seconds ago. Got any ideas about that? That was 50,000 years ago when Homo sapiens was first coming out of Africa into Europe. 50,000 years ago was 1 trillion seconds. We talk $1 trillion, we're talking some money. And because it's so unimaginable and unconceivable, they get away with it. Because we haven't any idea what it's like. And what can you say about a system when that open confession of corruption, vice, graft, venality, and evil is met in the American public by no roar of outrage? Nobody was out in the streets with pitchforks marching up on the castle. You didn't see that at all. Passive acceptance. And then who go on to elect to the presidency a man who voted for that. The United States has never shown itself more unmanageable and incompetent, more venal and degraded, more undemocratic and ungovernable than in the last 3 weeks. It's just an astonishing display. That alone, one would think, would cause the people to reject outright the system, insist that they wouldn't vote for it, and say no more presidential elections. That's for people who are willing to be conned. We will not be bamboozled anymore. We won't go through that. You would have thought that that act alone, the $1 trillion bailout, would have been enough to create real opposition to the system in this country. I don't mean reform and rejiggery opposition, the kind that we're used to on the left. I would have thought that it would have given rise to secession movements everywhere across the country. Yet here we are, 50 or so of us, and they haven't been asking to knock down the doors to come to us. So we must somehow be prepared to get the American public as smart as the animals in the jungle.